Hey guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we're going to be doing something a little bit different. For those of you that have been paying attention to this channel, you know that I'm into SCA, heavy combat, and some things of that nature. I've been at it for about a year now, and ever since I started, I've been trying to find a way to make myself a more durable sword. For you SCA guys out there, everybody is currently using rattan wood. And with all the practicing I've been doing, I've gone through half a dozen swords in the last year, and honestly, I'm sick and tired of making them. So, I have been on a quest to try and find a sword that will not splinter, crack, break, or otherwise wear out. For most of you in the martial arts world, Cold Steel has always made a very fine product. I was using Cold Steel swords for practice before I joined the SCA, and I used the same pair of katanas for 15 years with no issues. They didn't splinter, they didn't crack, they didn't break, nothing. So I've been trying to incorporate Cold Steel into my SCA training with limited success so far. This is my daily practice sword. This was originally a Cold Steel practice staff. It was 5 feet long, and I cut it down to 36 inches to try and use it in the SCA. Now there are a couple issues with this staff, so I'm going to get a little bit closer to the camera here. First of all, it's a hexagon shape. So if you can see here, I have had to shave it all down to get the corners off of it. Now unfortunately, you can't just shave one of these like you can a rattan sword. You actually have to use a Dremel and sand all of it off of there, because you can't just shave it with a blade or anything like that. And then when you try and sand it, it melts when it gets too hot. So there are some issues there when it comes to being able to manipulate this material. The handle I have cut down considerably more, and then I've wrapped it with tennis racket tape, which has actually worked very, very well. As you can see, it's getting worn out a little bit, but again, I use this almost every single day, so that's to be expected. I took this to an SCA marshal, and they said no. And the reason they said that is because this thing weighs quite a bit and hits like a club. Even though it's got some give in it, it just hits too hard for somebody else that's wearing armor. For a practice weapon, it's great because it weighs more than a regular SCA sword does, even without a basket hilt on it. So when you practice with this thing all the time, a regular sword feels a lot lighter in your hand. So I'm going to continue to use this as a practice weapon, and I'm probably not going to shave it down at all. Another issue with this is that it's 1.5 inches thick. For you SCAers out there, you only need 1.25 inches to qualify for a legitimate sword in that activity. So I could just continue to shave all this down until it gets to be 1.25 inches, and then it probably wouldn't hit as hard. But as I mentioned earlier, that is an awful lot of work. And I really, really like this as a practice sword. So what I decided to do is go back to the drawing board and start again. This is a Cold Steel Australian Walkabout cane. This is going to be my second attempt at making an SCA sword out of Cold Steel. Now, there's a couple things that this has going for it, which is the reason that I bought it. Number one, it's tapered. Now at the top here, it's going to be about 1.5 inches thick again, maybe even 1 3/4 inches once I cut the head off here. But at the bottom, it's already down to 1 inch, which makes for a perfect handle. And without doing anything to this at all, it weighs about the same as this one does. And that's with this big freaking head on the end of it. So my guess is, as you can see here, I've got some room to work with. So my plan is to cut the head off here and then shave the end of it down and put one of those heavy-duty SCA rubber thrusting tips on it. And then I'll probably only need to shave down just a little bit in this area to get rid of the club feel, and this thing should really be an excellent weapon. And I'm also really looking forward to the fact that I do not have to manipulate this at all. This down here is already just an inch thick. So once I wrap this with the tennis racket tape, it should be one heck of a nice grip. The other thing I'm planning on doing is I'm going to add a bit more of a heavy-duty basket hilt here. Let's get a nice close look at that at the camera. This is a Ironmonger stainless steel basket hilt, and it's supposed to be one of the best on the market. My plastic ones are already breaking, even though they're not supposed to, so I thought I'd go with something a little bit more heavy duty this time around. Also, if you notice, the holes are oval shaped, and they are supposed to be 1 inch wide, which should be perfect for this once I get it put in there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing how this comes out. And for you guys that doubt Cold Steel out there, we're going to be doing a durability test before I cut the head off here, just so you guys can see what kind of punishment this can take. So let's get to that, and that'll be the second part of this video. Okay, so here we go with a stress test on the Cold Steel Australian Walkabout cane. I opted not to cut the head off of it before I did this stress test because obviously with the head on here it can hit a lot harder than it would without the head. So if it can take this punishment, it should be able to take the punishment with the head removed. Now I already know what's going to happen here because I've been using these products forever, but for those of you who don't, I'm going to bash it against this tree here as hard as I possibly can, and then we're going to take a peek at the staff when we're done. So, without further ado, okay. Now, for those of you watching, that was hitting pretty hard. And I don't know if this is going to show up on camera or not, but we've got nothing on here other than some bark that scuffed off on the staff. So I think this thing has proved its durability. Now, just for the heck of it, we're going to hit it again with the weak side, just so that people can see that even though this end is thinner, it's just as strong. So here we go again with the second part of the test. All right, and once again, we've got nothing, not a single nick on this thing. So hopefully that puts everybody's doubts to bed about just how durable these things are. Now obviously, in an SCA fight, you're not going to be able to hit somebody nearly that hard with this thing. So if it can hold up against that, it can hold up against anything that you're going to be facing in fully armored combat. So, that being said, we're going to cut the tip off here, the round section, to not only lighten the load, but to create better balance. And then we're going to put the Ironmonger cup hilt on this thing, and then we will add the rubber tip. And I'll let you guys know how it works out. So, see you soon.